My top 10 wholesaling frameworks and lessons that helped me become a millionaire in real estate wholesaling at just 20 years old. What's up, guys? Zach in here, and in today's video, I'm going to break down exactly my top 10 frameworks and lessons and really rules that I have followed in my real estate wholesaling journey that's helped me become a millionaire, and definitely stuff that you need to know in wholesaling real estate so you can be as successful as possible. Trust me, you do not want to be making the mistakes or the lessons that I had to deal with. And you can just learn from me and not do the same mistakes. I'm telling you, when I tell you something, you can literally just do it and then you don't have to deal with the pain of not dealing with it. So I'm telling you, I'm excited to break it all down today. So do me a big favor before we break it down. Smash that like button and subscribe, and let's break it down. So number one, the biggest framework, and the first one I want to say here is something that really is something not a lot of people really understand or say, but is absolutely true. And this is never stop marketing. Do not stop marketing in real estate wholesaling business. The day and the time when you stop marketing is when you get in a lot of trouble in real estate wholesaling. Most people, they'll get a deal and then they'll stop marketing and they're just going to start working on cash buyers, and it never ends up really well. Like, then you stop the thing that helped you get that deal in the first place, and then it's like a rat race. Like, you're never stopping, right? And that is the number one point. You just never stop marketing. Always, when you get a deal, keep the marketing up. That's why I tell everyone to make a time schedule and just go after it. Number two here, this is a really big one, and one that took me probably a year to understand really correctly. And this helped me scale up a business and everything when it came to my team. But this is to understand that the seller's needs, your motivated seller's needs, are the priority. Not your needs of what you need to do, but like what really the need of the seller. And not this like the seller needs to get this much money. Like, that's not a must. But like, hey, I got to stay in this house or whatever for 2 more months before I sell. Is it okay if we can close in 2 months from now? Like, stuff like that, where it's something that will actually generally be a win-win solution. You want to be in the seller's best interest. The best interest is selling it for cash, then it is. I always ask the seller, upfront every single time, like, hey, Mr. Seller, why don't you list this with a realtor? You could probably make more money with a realtor if you list it. And I always get a lot of questions, hoopla over there, but it's the honest truth. If you can actually go out here and think in yourself that you can help the seller out and have that confidence, and you're actually trying to help the seller, you're going to win and beat your competition. Now, that's one thing I figured out. It's not this whole la land, it's always good to help the seller. That's very important. But when you actually help the seller out, you make a lot of profits too. So that's a big one here. Number three, which definitely took me a very long time to understand this, and this is something that I do a lot now, but this is just to value your time. Not a lot of wholesalers out here understand this concept starting out. And once you start valuing and guarding your time, you get so much more done. You're way more productive, and you make so much more money. You're more productive during your times. And as somebody that spent 5 hours a day cold calling every single day, basically 5 days a week for a year straight, when I was in college, and I got a lot of really good wholesaling deals doing this, I figured out very, very, very fast that if I was going to cold call 5 hours a day, why don't I make that 5 hours as efficient as possible? So when I'm cold calling, I say, hey, are you interested in selling the property? They said no. I just go on the next one. I don't go in a whole rant of maybe in 3 months if you consider now. I just go to the next one. And I only want to talk to people that are right now interested in selling the property, or they know somebody, or if they have another property looking to sell. This is very important because most wholesalers don't guard their time in the beginning. They'll spend 5 hours talking to an elderly seller that's not even qualified, that at the end of the day is most likely not going to be a deal. Really not important. Now, this comes back to the other spectrum where they're pretty qualified. I like going on appointments if it has one of these factors, which if the seller's motivated or the house is motivated. If it's one of those factors, we go on the appointment. If those aren't there, it's going to be a waste of your time. And you want to guard your time correctly. And I've seen one that's like, the seller's really motivated, but the house is nice, so I'm not going to the appointment to quote unquote guard my time. No, if it's qualified, you should be going to that appointment. But what I mean by guarding your time is you just need to value your time and be very efficient with it, and see what you're doing during the day. If you're on social media in the day doing non-productive stuff, and you need to be productive because you don't have a lot of time, you got to be doing that. Definitely less you need to know. Number 4 here, the judgment of others means absolutely nothing. I don't even care what your best friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, husband, to the end of the point, if you are being judged from them for getting into real estate wholesaling, it shouldn't matter. And what I mean by this is, if you're actively trying to start a side hustle or a business like wholesaling real estate, and you're actively trying to better your life, I don't care what anyone has to think about me. I don't care the judgment I get. I know wholesaling real estate is legal. It helps a lot of people out, and they make a ton of money with it. At the end of the point, I see a lot of wholesalers, especially young people, get very discouraged because their parents don't support them. Let me give you a quick secret of entrepreneurship. Your parents, your friends, a lot of people starting out. I had a really good support system starting out. Still have people not believing in me, but here's what happens with entrepreneurship. They don't believe you're going to do very well, and they always tell you not to do it, not to do it, not to do it. First of all, they don't want to see you. Most of your friends and family, I'm being completely honest, they will support you to the end until you're more successful than them. And that's one lesson it took me a long time to learn about friends and bad friends. Good friends always want to support you, but a lot of people only support you until you start making more money and become more successful than them. Then they don't really want to support you too much. But also the other end here is not a lot of people want to support you in the beginning, especially starting out. But once you become successful, then they're all going to say, oh, I've always supported you since the beginning. I've had a lot of friends that I don't consider friends. I have my really, really good friends that have always supported me, but like I got other quote unquote friends, I've always said they've always supported me, and heck, they did not support me starting out when I asked for help or, when I did pay them to do bandit signs and stuff. So like, I'm just telling you, the judgment of others means nothing. Once you become successful, that judgment goes away very fast. It's always good. It's always good to have a good support system, but just remember that. Number 5 here, empathy and compassion is gangster. I think a lot of wholesalers and, I'm not going to go after like one gender, but like a lot of men out here starting out and, growing up, they have a lot of unfair, I would say, expectations of what a quote unquote man is. And a lot of men in society, quote unquote, need to be rugged and tough and to the point. And I don't see it like that. I think I grew up a little different, but it is gangster and very cool and manly to care about people, have empathy and compassion, and trying to help people out. I just feel like society's gotten a little weird like that. It makes no sense, but like a lot of people think they have to be this like crazy, rugged, to the point, tough guy, to the point where if that's not a good way to connect with people. Like people know if you're not trying to help them out, and you're not going to do very well. And I don't know where this kind of came out of society starting out, but a lot of older, people to a point are like this. But at the point, we need to start valuing and caring more about empathy and compassion. Because once you start doing that in wholesaling with your sellers, once you start doing it to just people in general and people around you, your life gets a lot better. And I feel like that's something that I've done in my business that's really helped me out. I've always done the right thing. And that's always made me more money in wholesaling, and definitely one that I have to give to you. So it's kind of crazy. But number 6 here, this is to create a budget and a schedule and stick with it. I say this one more time. Create a time budget and a money budget for your wholesaling real estate operations, and then create a schedule of the time you're going to spend on your marketing, cash buyers, acquisitions, all this, and stick to that schedule. So many wholesalers, they create a good schedule, but they don't stick to it. Like, hey, I'm going to pull the probates every single week, and I'm going to cold call that for 2 hours a day for 4 days a week, right? They have a cool schedule, but they never stick to it. Discipline equals freedom in real estate wholesaling. And when I find someone that's not being successful in wholesaling, or they're bad at cold calling or whatever, I always figure out they don't have discipline in their lives when it comes to their wholesaling marketing. And that's usually the culprit and the reason why they're not doing well. So create a schedule, make sure it's efficient, and just go after it and stick with it. It's better to cold call 1 hour a day, 5 days a week for a year straight than be cold calling 10 hours a day, 5 days a week for 1 month straight, and then just burn out and quit, right? It's always very important there. Number 7 here. If you can't sell a real estate wholesaling deal, it's pretty much goes down to 2 things I've figured out in my life. It's either the price is too high, or you just don't have enough cash buyers. Sometimes a cash buyer tries to screw with you, and they just want to get a really good deal from you, and they don't think you have any other options. And you are like stir crazy because you think you have a bad deal, but it's a really good deal. And the way to get around that is just have a bunch of other buyers. And if you have like 15 or 20 buyers to send a deal and they all think the price is too high, chances are you have the problem, or the deal's the problem, and not you, and not the buyers. And you got to figure that out. So either the price is too high, or you don't have enough cash buyers. And if you're really sure on the price, go to a bunch of cash buyers and figure it out from there. Number 8, never stop following up. I cannot stress this enough. You always need to follow up with your sellers. Every single deal, basically over 60, 70 grand in my real estate wholesaling business for like assignment fees, have all been through crazy, consistent follow-up for months or even weeks straight, but like never. Sometimes get the occasional call and then we'll just go on the appointment and lock it up. But like a lot of it comes from follow-up, and don't give up on a seller. Keep following up and caring about them. You'll do really well. Number 9 here, this is a big one too, and this is conditioning the seller. You always need to condition your seller. What I mean by this, condition your seller to make a yes or no decision on selling the property before you actually go make an offer on the house. This is really good for virtual wholesaling and physical wholesaling. Go to freewholesaling.com to learn my exact scripts and everything like that. But I'm telling you, you absolutely need to do this. If you don't do it, you're wasting time, which brings us back to number 3, valuing your time, and you're not going to do well. Number 10, the last one, is confidence. Guys, the last, and this is why I put this on the lasting impression. First lesson to start it off was never stop marketing. That's my number 2 biggest lesson. My biggest lesson all time here is confidence. Your confidence is going to be everything when it comes to, so if you're confident in your cold calling, which is your marketing, you're going to do really well. If you're confident with your acquisitions, you're going to do really well. And you're confident talking to a cash buyer, you're going to do really well. Confident with a title company, confident with JVing. Guys, it all comes down to confidence, which is a belief in yourself of what you're doing and the actions you're taking. So if you're talking to a seller and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I can help you buy this property cash with me and my cash partner. Guess what? If you do it, if you actually believe you can do it, which you can if you have a cash buyer that's qualified and vetted, you'll do very well in real estate wholesaling. The problem is if you don't believe it in yourself, then you're not going to do well in the confidence. How do you build confidence with cold calling? By just doing it, right? How do you build confidence, talking to just random people on the street, right? A lot of people get nervous to do that. Just go and do it, right? Like a lot of people get very, very nervous with a lot of things. And to the point, you're nervous until you really do it. I remember being nervous to start driving a car. I'm not nervous when I drive a car anymore. You know why? Because I've done it a bunch of times. I was nervous to drive a boat. Guess what I did? I started driving boats. Now, it's like no-brainer for me, right? At the end of the day, guys, that is the key to success in real estate wholesaling. These are the 10 frameworks I've used. And if you can learn from my mistakes and actually use these frameworks, you're going to do very well in your real estate wholesaling business and do very well. So do me a big favor. If you got any value from this video, smash the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. I'm telling you guys, take the frameworks that I say piece by piece and use them. It will help you so much. Let me give you one last example. I've had so many deals where I've lost because I didn't value my time. One example, I was cold calling 5 hours a day. I spent like an hour on the phone with a seller that was just wasting my time. Just wasting my time. I could have used that hour, and if I did that every single day, I have so many deals I was wasting if I didn't do it. Creating a time budget and a money budget right, not caring about the seller. So many deals I've lost out from everyone else that I haven't done well. I actually would be starting out as a beginner. I lost on some deals because I didn't have the confidence as some of the older people out here in real estate wholesaling. My competition that were wholesaling for 15 plus years. Learn the lessons that I do, take my mistakes, use it, and then become better at me at wholesaling, right? That's the key, guys. So smash the like button and subscribe. Go to freewholesaling.com, and we'll see you soon. Have a blessed one.